You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Risk and compliance shouldn't slow your business down. Hyperproof helps you automate controls, integrate real-time risk workflows, and build a centralized system of trust so your teams can focus on growth, not spreadsheets. From faster audits to stronger stakeholder confidence, Hyperproof gives you the business advantage of smarter compliance. Visit www.hyperproof.io to see how leading teams are transforming their GRC programs. At Thales, they know cybersecurity can be tough and you can't protect everything. But with Thales, you can secure what matters most. With Thales's industry-leading platforms, you can protect critical applications, data, and identities, anywhere and at scale with the highest ROI. That's why the most trusted brands and largest banks, retailers, and healthcare companies in the world rely on Thales to protect what matters most: applications, data, and identity. That's Thales. Thales. Learn more at thalesgroup.com/cyber. The UN launches the world's first global treaty to combat cybercrime. A House Democrats' job portal left security clearance data exposed online. A new data leak exposes 183 million email addresses and passwords. Threat actors target Discord users with an open-source red team toolkit. A new campaign targets unpatched WordPress plugins. The city of Gloversville, New York suffers a ransomware attack. Jen Easterly hopes AI could eliminate the buggy software that fuels cybercrime. A Connecticut health system agrees to an $18 million settlement following a ransomware attack. We got Monday's business brief. Tim Starks from CyberScoop discusses concerns over budget cuts and visibility. And Meta's privacy safeguard goes dark. It's Monday, October 27th, 2025. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us here today. It's great to have you with us. The United Nations has launched the world's first global treaty to combat cybercrime, with 72 nations signing the new Convention Against Cybercrime at a ceremony on Saturday. The agreement, 5 years in the making, aims to improve prevention, cooperation, and capacity building to fight online crime, particularly in developing countries. However, critics warn the treaty could undermine human rights. Groups including the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Human Rights Watch, and Privacy International argue it grants overly broad surveillance powers without sufficient safeguards. Even Cisco has voiced concerns that the convention risks eroding the rule of law. Despite these objections, U.S. Secretary General Antonio Guterres called the signing an important milestone towards safer digital spaces, highlighting the treaty's mechanisms for cross-border sharing of digital evidence. Still, the agreement won't take effect until countries ratify it, and the UN has yet to publish a full list of signatories. An unsecured database connected to DomeWatch, a website managed by U.S. House Democrats, exposed the personal details of more than 450 individuals holding top-secret security clearances, according to research shared with Wired. The database contained data on about 7,000 job applicants, including names, contact details, military service, clearance levels, and political affiliations. It was discovered in late September by an independent security researcher and secured within hours after being reported. While resumes were not included, experts warn the dataset could be a goldmine for foreign intelligence or cybercriminals seeking to target government personnel. House officials say an outside vendor was responsible, and a full investigation is underway. The incident highlights ongoing risks from poorly secured online databases and their potential use in espionage or social engineering. A new data leak has exposed 183 million email addresses and passwords just months after another massive breach. Security researcher Troy Hunt, founder of Have I Been Pwned, says the data, about 3.5 terabytes and 23 billion rows, came from threat intelligence firm Synthient and included stolen Gmail logins and website credentials. Hunt found 8% of the entries were new, adding 16 million previously unseen addresses. Have I Been Pwned verified some records with affected users. Experts urge password changes and avoiding reuse across accounts. Threat actors are abusing the open-source Red Tiger Red Team toolkit to deploy an info stealer targeting Discord users, primarily in France, according to Netscope. Originally built for penetration testing, Red Tiger includes network scanning, password cracking, and malware building features. Attackers compiled it into standalone executables disguised as gaming or Discord apps. Once installed, the malware steals Discord credentials, payment details, browser passwords, crypto wallets, and game data while capturing screenshots and webcam images. Stolen data is uploaded to GoFile and sent to attackers via Discord webhooks. The malware uses anti-sandbox features and floods systems with fake processes to hinder analysis. Security experts urge users to avoid unofficial downloads, revoke Discord tokens, and enable multi-factor authentication if compromise is suspected. A new campaign is exploiting 3 critical vulnerabilities in the Guten Kit and Hunk Companion WordPress plugins, according to Defiant. Since October 8th, over 9 million exploit attempts have been blocked. The flaws allow unauthenticated attackers to upload malicious files, install rogue plugins, and achieve remote code execution. Attackers are distributing a fake plugin via GitHub containing backdoors and persistence scripts. Despite patches released over a year ago, the campaign highlights ongoing risks for outdated WordPress sites. The city of Gloversville, New York, suffered a ransomware attack in March that exposed personal and payroll information of current and former employees. Officials say the attackers, believed to be from Eastern Europe, demanded $300,000 for the stolen data. After hiring consultants, the city negotiated a $150,000 payment for its return. The incident was reported to the FBI, state police, and DHS. Federal investigators are now working to identify the attackers and recover the ransom funds. Former CISA Director Jen Easterly says artificial intelligence could eventually make cybersecurity obsolete by eliminating the buggy software that fuels cybercrime. Speaking at Audit Board's user conference in San Diego, Easterly argued that the real issue isn't cyber attacks themselves, but poor software quality driven by vendors prioritizing speed and cost over safety. She said AI is already improving attackers' tools, creating stealthier malware and targeted phishing, but can also help defenders rapidly identify and fix vulnerabilities. Easterly believes a secure-by-design approach, supported by the White House's AI Action Plan, could tip the balance toward defenders and make breaches rare exceptions rather than expected events. She criticized the glamorization of hackers and stressed that most attacks still exploit long-known flaws like SQL injection and memory-unsafe code. Her core message: the industry must demand accountability from software vendors to fix systemic weaknesses at their source. Yale New Haven Health System will pay $18 million to settle a class-action lawsuit over a March 2025 ransomware attack that compromised data from nearly 5.6 million individuals. the largest reported U.S. healthcare breach so far this year. The attack exposed patient information such as names, birth dates, and social security numbers, but did not affect medical records or payment data. The settlement, preliminarily approved by a federal court, offers victims up to $5,000 for documented losses or an alternative $100 payment, plus 2 years of medical data monitoring. Class counsel will receive 1/3 of the fund in legal fees. The health system also agreed to strengthen its cybersecurity controls. The breach was discovered March 8th and reported to regulators a month later. A final settlement hearing is scheduled for March 3rd, 2026. In our Monday business brief, the cybersecurity and data resilience sector saw major merger and investment activity last week. Veeam announced a $1.7 billion acquisition of Security AI, integrating data security posture management into its resilience platform. Dataminr will acquire Threat Connect for $290 million, combining internal and external threat data for real-time intelligence. Other notable deals include Audit Board acquiring FairNow to expand AI governance, Imprivata buying Verosint for healthcare identity threat detection, and Panther acquiring Datable to enhance its AI SOC platform. Meanwhile, Riveron, Early Health Group, and Main Capital Partners also completed strategic acquisitions. On the investment front, CoreStack raised $50 million to fuel cloud governance growth. Keycard emerged from stealth with $38 million, and Basis Theory, DeFacto, and OneLayer raised over $25 million each. Startups including Conceal, Gravwell, LuxQuanta, and Cyberverse also secured new funding, signaling continued momentum in AI-driven cybersecurity innovation. Be sure to check out our complete business brief on our website, part of CyberWire Pro. Coming up after the break, Tim Starks from CyberScoop discusses concerns over budget cuts and visibility, and Meta's privacy safeguard goes dark. Stay with us. And now, a word from our sponsor, ThreatLocker, the powerful zero-trust enterprise solution that stops ransomware in its tracks. Allow Listing is a deny-by-default software that makes application control simple and fast. Ring fencing is an application containment strategy, ensuring apps can only access the files, registry keys, network resources, and other applications they truly need to function. Shut out cybercriminals with world-class endpoint protection from ThreatLocker. What's your 2 a.m. security worry? Is it, do I have the right controls in place? Maybe, are my vendors secure? Or the one that really keeps you up at night, how do I get out from under these old tools and manual processes? That's where Vanta comes in. Vanta automates the manual work so you can stop sweating over spreadsheets, chasing audit evidence, and filling out endless questionnaires. Their trust management platform continuously monitors your systems, centralizes your data, and simplifies your security at scale. And it fits right into your workflows, using AI to streamline evidence collection, flag risks, and keep your program audit ready, all the time. With Vanta, you get everything you need to move faster, scale confidently, and finally, get back to sleep. Get started at vanta.com/cyber. That's VANTA.com/cyber. Once again, it is my pleasure to welcome to the show Tim Starks. He is a senior reporter at CyberScoop. Tim, you had a couple of stories over on CyberScoop I want to discuss today. The first was some information from the Cyberspace Solarium Commission. They're saying that perhaps the U.S. needs to up our game a little bit. What's going on here, Tim?
Yeah, I'd say they went even a little further than that in what they said. So the Cyberspace Solarium Commission was a big deal. bipartisan commission created by Congress that recommended a lot of things that have become policy and structures in our government these days. And one of them is the creation of the National Cyber Director. So there were a few things that were noteworthy about this. The CSC 2.0, which has kind of been the organization keeping track of how the Solarium Commission recommendations are going, for the first time ever in the 5 years they've been doing these reports, said, actually, we're getting worse on cyber. Every other thing they'd looked at, they said, looking at the implementation of the recommendations, all of them had ticked upward for the most part or stayed level at worst. So this is the first time they backtracked. And one of the reasons was Trump administration budget cuts. Another was a sort of a vague mention of technology having just getting more complicated. There was a transition at all. They said that maybe there wasn't that surprising that there was some change that could be negative. But that was the surprising part of the report. And the part where they talked about upping the game, which was what your question was they had a series of recommendations. One of them was to increase the power of the Office of the National Cyber Director, restore some of the cuts that have been happening in this administration to CISA, the way they've broken up some State Department offices that were focused on cyber. A few recommendations of note that stood out to me.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine the cuts to CISA and other agencies, but really to CISA primarily is not playing a part of this. I mean, it's just been so deeply cut there.
Yeah, they've cut it, by all credible estimates, at least a third. That was one thing they proposed in their budget, but it turns out they'd already done most of it. And it feels like almost every day, every week, there are more stories about more things they're cutting. So it doesn't even seem like they're done getting rid of massive parts of the agency.
Yeah. Another story you posted, this is about the recent vulnerability with F5 and highlighting some weaknesses in DHS's CDM program. Can you describe that for us?
Yeah, this one was a little bit of a deeper dive. What happened was my editor said, okay, this F5 vulnerability, the cybersecurity vendor F5 that announced that they'd been infiltrated by nation-state hackers for a lengthy period of time. There was an emergency directive that CISA put out last week and said the week before and said, hey, if you're a federal agency, you need to shore this up now. And one of the things that stood out to my editor was they were saying as part of this emergency directive, they were going to find out where F5 was. Well, he was like, what? Isn't that what continuous diagnostics and mitigation is supposed to be doing? Isn't that the thing we spent billions of dollars on? Isn't that the point of that program? And I poked around and started hearing that yeah, it is part of the point of the program, but this is a part of the program that it's not very good at. The CDM is not very good at detecting the areas where F5 products live. One person, Matt Hartman, who was a former CISA official who's now in the private sector, said their stuff kind of lives in these DMZs, these demilitarized zones between that CDM is good at identifying. I mean, identifying the cybersecurity posture of federal agencies is one of its main 4 goals. So the fact that CDM is good at keeping track of actual hardware, computers, servers, that's a good news story for CDM. But the fact that it's not capable of doing these kinds of things is a knock on the program, I think. And to their credit, they're aware that this is a problem and they're trying to fix it. But there's the speed at which government moves and there's the speed at which technology moves. And I don't think people were envisioning that CDM would have a big role doing this, keeping track of these edge devices back when CDM was created more than a decade ago.
Is there any reaction to this? Are folks saying, again, more attention needs to be paid here? Or are people saying, hey, this is the pace at which we operate at, and given the budget we have, this is where we are?
I think that there's a certain amount of understanding from the people I spoke to that this could take some time. That doesn't mean they weren't critical of it. It means, this is a problem. They say it's a problem, and they say they're glad CISA is aware it's a problem. The one kind of voice of concern that we got, and this ties back to the earlier story that we were talking about, was from Congresswoman Shontel Brown, who's the top Democrat on the House Oversight Cybersecurity Subcommittee. She said, I'm a supporter of CDM, but I'm worried that CDM, like other parts of CISA that are seeing their budget cut, that's going to be bad news for this program. So she's going to be watching that closely.
Is there a general sense among folks in government? I mean, we're in the middle of a government shutdown. People are getting cuts. Shocker that things might not be going as well as perhaps people had hoped for. But like you said, I mean, the Solarium Commission had had us heading in the right direction for many years, and now, by their account, we're not. How are people reacting to that on the Hill?
There is some concern on the Hill about the shutdown and its impact on cyber operations. I do think one of the areas where the government is on a little safer ground, because a lot of the IT teams are considered essential workers, that maybe an emergency directive like this isn't going to be as much of a concern. And certainly CISA's viewpoint was, no, we'll be fine. We'll be able to take care of this. The shutdown isn't going to impact this. It's hard to imagine it not having any impact at all, though. I mean, there are people who are furloughed who work on these things, even if the majority of them are not. And the Hill, what I was hearing from not just the people I quoted in the story, but other people, is that the shutdown's not great for CISA. During this time they've been apparently cutting more people. Some significant percentage of the agency is furloughed. So there is concern about the work that they should be doing not being able to get it done for two reasons: the shutdown and the cuts.
Yeah. I have to think about some of the other implications here. My son has a friend who works at the Starbucks on base at NSA, and she has not gone into work for a couple of weeks now. I don't want our defenders to be under-caffeinated, Tim.
No. God, no.
Right?
I think they're running on that and Adderall and all sorts of things. So we need to make sure that we get all their supplies to keep them.
That's right. That's right. Keep them properly dosed. Tim Starks is senior reporter at CyberScoop. Tim, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Dave.
Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
And finally, Meta's Ray-Ban smart glasses were supposed to make recording your surroundings less creepy, a goal achieved, at least in theory, by adding a little LED that lights up whenever you're filming. Unfortunately, some enterprising hobbyists have decided that privacy lights are for amateurs. As 404 Media reports, one modder has been selling $60 stealth editions of the glasses. No LED, no warning, just effortless covert recording. The craftsmanship is impressive if you overlook the whole ethics thing. Meta, for its part, sternly reminded everyone that disabling the light violates its terms of service, a terrifying deterrent, surely. Still, for those who'd rather not risk an eBay purchase, Amazon now sells sticker packs for covering the light entirely. So, if Zuckerberg's ideal social experience involves quietly filming your friends, the future has never looked brighter or dimmer. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. Don't forget to check out the Grumpy Old Geeks podcast, where I contribute to a regular segment on Jason and Brian's show every week. You can find Grumpy Old Geeks where all the fine podcasts are listed. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. N2K senior producer is Alice Carruth. Our CyberWire producer is Liz Stokes. We're mixed by Trey Hester with original music by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Peter Kilby is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Cyber Innovation Day is the premier event for cyber startups, researchers, and top VC firms building trust into tomorrow's digital world. Kick off the day with unfiltered insights and panels on securing tomorrow's technology. In the afternoon, the 8th annual Data Tribe Challenge takes center stage as elite startups pitch for exposure, acceleration, and funding. The Innovation Expo runs all day, connecting founders, investors, and researchers around breakthroughs in cybersecurity. It all happens November 4th in Washington, D.C. Discover the startups building the future of cyber. Learn more at cid.datatribe.com.